Hi, my name is Roberto Pisani, and I am a professor at John Jay College. I teach sculpture. I teach primarily beginning classes at John Jay, and so, but the experience that I've developed in the field of sculpture is obviously beyond the beginning level. I'm not really interested in telling people what to do. I think that everybody's on their own journey to sort of figure out how they want to live their lives. And I don't like to make a lot of assumptions, but I do make the assumption that if somebody takes my class, that they're interested in learning what I have to teach. There's a kind of trust that has to happen between a student and a teacher, where the student has to sort of humble themselves and say, I'm here because I don't know this stuff. And I'm going to trust that this person does know this stuff and is going to guide me in a direction that empowers me to know this stuff. And I do have some students who are genuinely curious beyond the beginning level. I have many students who are interested in sculpture in a cursory kind of way. Like, oh, this sounds like it's fun, let me try this out and see how it goes, right? Which is fine. I have a few students who become really excited about it once they start to learn more. They're like, oh, I had no idea this is possible. Well, how do you do this other thing? And how do you do this other thing? And so for me, that's really exciting. What inspired me to get into art? Well, I've always been interested in art. I think that most little kids, if you give them a crayon and some paper, that they love to draw. And so I just never stopped. I always enjoyed doing that. I always started to think about other materials besides crayon and paper that I wanted to use and make something with. And that love of creating things, visual things with my hands and my mind has stayed with me. There's something tangible about sculpture. It takes up space. We have to share space with it. If I think about paintings and drawings, oftentimes the way that artists approach those mediums is to create an illusion of something that's not actually there, right? So if you're painting a landscape or portrait, that person or that mountain range is not actually there. It's an image of that thing. The powerful thing about sculpture for me is that thing is actually there. It takes up space. You have to contend with it. I'm interested in specific histories, like the history of the transatlantic slave trade, and how that sort of continues to reverberate through our culture today. The more I look into it, the more I see how that history still impacts many of us today, in terms of our identity, in terms of our possibilities, how we treat one another. So I have to be very sensitive to how people may read my work. I think that whenever you address trauma, and some of my work addresses trauma, particularly this body of work addresses trauma, there's ways to do it that are healing, and then there's ways to do it that rub salt into the wound. The casting process, when you have molten metal and you're pouring it into a mold, that's one of the most dangerous parts of the process. So the group of people that are working together to cast the sculptures, there has to be an inherent kind of trust, cooperation amongst one another, and hopefully also a familiarity. I think that there are some people that I've poured with over and over and over again, and you get very familiar with, oh, okay, this person enjoys this job, they're good at this job, I trust them, and that's kind of when you have a team of people working together like that, it's really rewarding to be able to take advantage of each other's strengths and just sort of have a really productive core. I was at an iron pour maybe like 10 years ago. The furnace has melted metal, and then the metal is going to be released from the furnace so that it can pour into a ladle and then go into molds. So we had enough metal in the furnace for the first tap, and my friend went up with a metal spike and was trying to open the hole that's plugged up in the bottom of the furnace, and then something like probably 200 pounds of molten iron drops out of the bottom and starts spilling all over the floor. It's hot, it's like around 2,000 degrees heat, so you feel it even if you're standing far away. and everybody got out of the way quickly. Thankfully, nobody got seriously hurt. One woman did get some flash burns on her neck. We went to the pour. She said, let's just use the other furnace to finish this. And so we ended up having a successful pour. The next question is, okay, like you have a certain, I've developed a certain kind of confidence that I can do this thing that I wasn't sure about, you know. So it gives me confidence to tackle the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Because I think that that's really, it's my responsibility. I mean, we're all given gifts and abilities, and it's kind of our responsibility to see what we can do with them.